Welcome to Survivor Voices Show with me, your hostess, Vennie Kocsis. I am the author of Cult Child and other publications, which you can explore on my website, VennieKocsis.com. That is VennieKocsis.com. Survivor Voices Show is dedicated to providing a platform for trauma survivors to tell our stories in a safe space. Each show will bring you a plethora of topics from authors to artists, survivors living with impairments, healing journeys, updated news, and real, raw, vulnerable moments of laughter and sometimes tears. Find me on Twitter using hashtag Survivor Voices. Connect with me on Facebook at Survivor Voices Show page. Join our Facebook group, Survivor Voices, where you will find support and be embraced as you share your life. Thank you for being here. And now, here is our show. Wow. So, Karama, okay, real quick, I wanted to just ask you a question because I have this question. I had this question, but I didn't want to interrupt you to go off topic just slightly for a second. When you were a little boy and you're going to the door and, then and even suited and booted, right?
Yep.
And you're selling these 10-cent packets. How many times did your cuteness and your smartness get you more than 10 cents, and where did that money go?
I am so glad that you brought this up. Now, one of the things that you were taught as a witness, as a kid especially, was that this money was not for you. This was God's money. And you were shown a story in the book of Bible stories about what happens to people who steal from God. There was a man who stole something from God. They were supposed to go, the Israelites were at war. They were supposed to kill everybody and destroy all of the merchandise in the city. This guy saw some gold bars and some stuff that he liked, and he didn't feel they should be destroyed. So he took it, and he brought it to his tent, showed it to his family, dug a hole, put it under the rug.
I know that story.
You know that story?
I
Okay,
sure
so
do.
you know how that story ends up. Not only does he get killed, but his family gets killed.
Right.
And their pets and livestock.
Yeah, his whole culture gets wiped out. His whole familial culture gets wiped out because he stole a couple statues. Yes.
Yes. So when they're telling us this story, remember, we're the same kids they told people get beheaded at birthday parties.
Right.
So it's basically like, God is wonderful and God is great, but God will kill you and everybody you know if you do this. And what is do this? Anything the witnesses or your parents don't want you to do. So I'm going to do this because I want to see my dad again. Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. So I'm going to do all of this because I want to see my dad again, and I'm obedient. So to answer your question about how much money we got and all of this, there were times that people would give me $1. I've had people give me up to $5. And this is just off cuteness and, now what I was told, of course, isn't that it was because I was cute.
No, God bless you.
Yeah, it's the angels are out here with us. And they really making your message more potent to the open-hearted, the people who are suited to be receptive to this message. So, now I'm going to take a step back out of telling you the story, telling you, about my life, and just tell you how this connects to something I had a conversation about this morning. Here's how field service works. Now, field service is when you see witnesses come knocking on your doors. Field service can also mean a witness has knocked on your door and made an arrangement or appointment to come back and talk to you later. when they come back, that's called a return visit. So, I'm going to walk you through it. Let's say in the average congregation, there's 100 people. These 100 people are going to get material to go out and field service, to go out knocking on doors. Where do we get this material? We get it at the Kingdom Hall. So if we're going to get Watchtower and Awake magazines and maybe a Bible and another book, we basically are going to come out of our own pockets and pay for that. So now I've bought it and I gave extra as a donation. I get that material and those books.
Wow.
I go out in the ministry. I knock on doors. Vennie comes to the door. Hey, Vennie, how you doing? This is Karama. I'd like to give you this Bible and this book and these magazines. And Vennie's going to say, oh, my God, you're cute. Take $10. That $10 is God's $10. So that $10 is going to come straight back to the Kingdom Hall.
Was that a daily occurrence, or did your mom gather, or whomever, did it go like immediately that day? Like, did you have a leader when you were, like, how did they gather those funds?
We put it all in one box, and there was a brother, a man who was assigned to do it, and he would take the collections. He was the account servant, is what they called him.
So your mom would hold it, and then the next meeting she turned the money in.
Yeah.
Got you.
They had what's called a contribution box. And that's one of the things that was a big selling point for my mother, because she told people, you know, we never pass a collection plate, which was true. They never did pass a collection plate, but they mentioned the contributions all the damn time.
Right.
And guilted you, because that's when they would bring out the story about the widow with the coins of little value. And, you know, Jesus, and the woman was so sick she had 2 pennies, but she gave all she could. So why are you holding on to that money? That's God's money anyway.
Right.
And remember, Deep South, a lot of these people had Southern Baptist background, so you hearing Jehovah's Witness teach, but you hearing the preacher speak. And
I'm also hearing the preacher speaking you.
Yeah, that's just.
I just heard it a minute ago when you were talking about the money. I'm like, wow, you know, don't want to fast forward yet to you going to train to be an actual pastor, but there was a slight change in your voice when you said, that's God's money. And I'm like, that's how they talk to you.
Ah, that's the gold. Gold.
Yes.
Give the Lord what the Lord say give. Yeah, I grew up on that too. That's a whole other.
Holy shit.
This show, me and you talking from here till November, because you'd be tripping out. I've been around some craziness. I still haven't even gotten to the crazy stuff in the story. That's what's cracking me up now.
So you got that camera. Tell me about, like, how did that, you know, you fixed that camera, like, when you started having that creativity. I'm kind of curious, inside of your religious culture in your home. I mean, for us, creativity was never fostered. It was considered feeding the flesh. So even though I wrote poetry and things like that, I had to keep it hidden. How was that for you when you realized that you enjoyed that outlet? What did you do with it?
Photography wasn't my preferred outlet.
Okay.
The reason I started taking pictures is because my mother got really excited, and I got to meet the mayor. And the mayor at the time was the first black mayor of New Orleans. So they like, hey, this is history. Give me the camera, let me take a picture. So she takes the picture. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know why that's a big deal. But everywhere we go, she's telling everybody. So now I'm getting excited. Now I want to know what this is. And as we go along, now we got to wait for the film to be developed. Now we got to wait for it to come from the stores. A couple weeks have passed.
Right.
Get the picture back, and it's a picture of me and somebody's hand on my shoulder. And like the wall. did not know how to aim the camera to take the picture.
Oh.
She thought you just held it up and pressed the button and magic happened.
So she missed the mayor altogether and just got his hand.
Altogether. And left me with the story that started my photography. Because from that moment on, I refused to give her the camera back. I was like, no, that is not how you take pictures. So that was her camera that she let me use. But the first camera that somebody gave me that was mine was Eddie giving me a camera. Like, here. It was broke. I fixed it. And so expressing myself wasn't really what I was doing as like intentionally. Like, I would take pictures of whatever I took. But then when I got the pictures developed, I would make up a story about the pictures. But what my thing was poetry. And that is what got me called faggot and punk and sissy all the time by Eddie.
Wow.
I didn't know why it wasn't that I was hearing voices, but it was like certain things sounded like songs to me. Certain things had a rhythm to them. I'm from New Orleans, so most things really did have rhythm.
It's in your DNA, like your DNA. I mean, that's the way I look at it as a poet, is that it's just like a song from inside of your DNA, even if it's a song of sadness.
Yes. And putting that sadness and all of those emotions on paper was not something that this dude from the country looked at as masculine or productive. So it was like, the way I could describe it was he was this guy who was, I don't want to call him insecure, because I don't even want to go into psychoanalyzing this dude. I'm just
sadistic?
No, nothing that far. Ignorant. And I don't mean ignorant in a pejorative sense. I mean the literal definition.
Right. Lack of knowledge.
Yeah, the literal lack of knowledge. And was raised in a society that was still in the whole children are to be seen and not heard.
Right.
What I see, not what I do. And then you run across somebody like me. I get it. It had to be rough, especially on your patience and your intellect. But my point is, that wasn't my damn fault. So we passed him. So here's where I start to fast forward in the story and let you know what it was like actually being a witness.
Shit.
It is the longest list of things you cannot do. That is what your life is. And not only is it a list of things you cannot do, you have to make up your own list of things you probably shouldn't do to avoid affecting somebody else.
Including the way that you think, including your thoughts, which I think, like, did you find that the hardest, to not think bad thoughts?
No. I found suffering hypocrites to be the hardest.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
And if I'm not going to lie, and if I'm not going to do this all to see my daddy come back, you ain't going to be bullshitting on the side and just hiding it either. I had one personal code as a witness. Don't put me in a position where I'd have to snitch on you.
Well, when you were making that list, I think maybe I didn't ask that properly. And maybe I'm applying my own experiences too, in that long list of things you can't do. Part of that is, don't think bad thoughts, don't think wicked thoughts, don't think thoughts that feed the flesh. And that would include moving into puberty and becoming attracted to another, kid, you're in that none of that, like all of that was bad. So it created this constant struggle of the mind. Oh shit, I just had a bad thought. Fuck, I might go to hell. Now I'm guilty. I gotta pray that one away. Okay, so I dealt with that a lot on a mental level. So I think that's what I was more like asking you, how did that affect you?
Okay, then it affected me the exact same way. Like, we didn't believe in hell, but remember, just replace hell with not seeing my dad again.
Right.
And so it's basically like I had my carrot and my stick. They teach you how to torture yourself. They teach you how to keep yourself going.
Yes.
So I don't even know if that was you. I said this to somebody earlier. I said it was life as a witness is a portable prison.
Wow.
That is seriously what it's like, because I'm around people all the time, but I am not with any of them. We have nothing in common. If I'm like, by the time, especially if you grow up in it, there are two types of witnesses: those who convert and those who were raised in it.
Yes, I totally agree. Yes, it is a big difference.
It's huge.
Huge.
It cannot be rectified. It cannot be understood, because somebody who was raised a witness has no clue what it's like to not be a witness as a kid.
Right. We don't have anything to base a comparison on. Our whole life, I have this conversation a lot with like these cult experts who were lured as adults. Your life is way different than our lives who were raised in this and know nothing else.
Yep. And they don't even understand, or there's no way to make someone understand your thought process.
Right.
It's completely different and cannot comprehend. We have no point of reference, like you just said. Like when we were witnesses, it was basically every other thought was supposed to be something regarding God or regarding the organization. And if you thought something else, then that was Satan, and you had to resist those thoughts.
Right.
So basically, you became this weird fighting machine, fighting against the devil in your head, and you never had a functional, complete thought.
No. And if you did, somehow, if one slipped in, if a functional, complete thought did slip in, which was very rare, then here came that whole penance and guilt and the process of cleansing that thought from you in your own head.
Yep. You could either confess it or deal with it.
Right. And usually I dealt with it because confession for me meant punishment.
I took a lot of stuff as I basically became, the way I describe myself is an introvert who was forced to be extroverted. And I was naturally good at it. So it just became, your mask becomes your face.
So what happened to you at 12?
At 12, I got baptized. There was a girl in our congregation who was 8 years old who got baptized. And once that happened, if you were 7 or above, you were getting talked to about baptism.
Did you choose it, or did you get told it's time now?
Let's discuss how you get told that.
Okay.
So nobody's going to tell you 12 years old, you need to get baptized. What they will do is have conversations around you.
Yes.
About the 8-year-old who got baptized. Isn't that great? Do you know how great her chances have increased that she's going to make it through Armageddon?
Right.
What does that sound like to me? You can improve your odds.
And also be more accepted. And same reason, I write about this in my book, the whole baptism thing. Same thing. It was like not forced on us. Even speaking in tongues wasn't forced on us, but it was so special that if you didn't do it and you didn't get it, there was that war in your mind, like, okay, there must be something wrong with me, or I need to be baptized so that I can get it. Yeah, I get that too.
Yep. So it became life after a while. Like I would say that by the time my mom married Eddie, we knew the basic rules. But my mom was strict anyway. So it's not like, we were, wild animals. away from the Kingdom Hall, and then at the Kingdom Hall we had to sit still. No,
Right.
we were well behaved anyway. And when I say well behaved, half of that was because we were good kids. The other half of that is because my mama would beat the shit out of you no matter where we were.
Yeah, fear keeps you compliant.
Yes. So we got the threat of my mama's physical punishment, the threat of Eddie's emotional manipulation and abuse, and the actual threat of me never seeing my daddy again.
Mm.
Yeah, basically my life became trying to figure a way to not have my mama physically jump on me, trying to talk to Eddie as little as possible, or having him try to struggle through reading something from the Kingdom Hall, avoiding people who were flirting with me, trying to make sure I was a good witness, and once I was 12, I got baptized. So now, enter the patriarchy, where I now have privileges to do things that a sister who any age, even my mother, had to cover her head if she was doing something in the house, like spiritual, if she was studying the Bible with somebody, and I happened to be in the house, she had to cover her head.
Really?
Yep.
What about the baptism changed for you? What about the theology with the baptism changes the male?
Oh, nothing in real life. It's just the patriarchy.
But I'm talking about like in the theology. What do they teach why that should happen? How do they connect the baptism with the gender? And now your mother has to cover her head. What makes her? Do you see what I'm asking? Like,
yes, I see the logical question that you're asking. And I'm telling you.
give me the illogical answer.
Yeah, I mean, you think this makes sense? Like, wait, that's what that question's about.
But what's the scripture that they use to tie the baptism in that? Yeah.
Woman should always be in submission to a man. But it was like submission to her husband who is in submission to Christ.
So you being baptized is when you became a man.
Yeah,
Got
a
you.
spiritual man.
Right.
Now,
Yes. Okay.
don't get it twisted. I'm still 12 years old. My mama is a strong black woman with a quick backhand.
Right.
So I could play that game, walking through the house and be like, Mom, cover your head. But let me get disrespectful and watch what was going to happen. So, yeah, like, okay, yes, I'm spiritually a man, but I'm also somebody with good sense. I'm not going to test my mama. I know better than that. Like, I could have secretly enjoyed it. I think like the first couple of times I did secretly enjoy it, but I wasn't doing that. Like, okay, let me tell you what I really enjoyed. Once I became a brother, I was able to be in charge of a field service group. Meaning, I was the one who told everybody where to go. When we got out the cars and started knocking on doors, like, yeah, I was the one who sent somebody to your door. I was the one who sent somebody the other way. Yeah, 12 years old, I was running that.
And now you're a teenager.
No, wasn't even a teenager. I'm 12.
You're a tween.
Tween, and I'm in high school because I got skipped when I was a kid. So
Wow.
I at no time was I ever around anybody my age. So it's just weird going through high school, going through puberty, which is like, it looks to everybody that I started puberty late, but it's because nobody really knew how old I was. I didn't tell anybody how old I was. I just played like I was the same age as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So dealing with raging hormones and a poet in heat as a kid who can't really have any outlet because witnesses don't date. Witnesses don't have girlfriends and boyfriends.
Mm-hmm.
You only start dating when you're able to get married.
Right.
Notice what I said. I didn't say old enough to get married. I said able to get married.
Same in the cult. Same in the cult. Yes. And there was a process of walking out a year and blah, blah, blah. Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Okay. So I didn't have a girlfriend. There was a witness. There were plenty of girls I liked. But what the hell was I going to do? It's not like I could talk to you on the phone. You would have had to come to the Kingdom Hall. And you wouldn't have got to the Kingdom Hall without your parents approving that. And now they got to figure out why your parents want to talk to that, why your parents want to be witnesses, and who is this crazy sounding boy who looks short and weird, and what's going on. And no, I didn't want to go through that. I didn't want to go through any of that. Why? Because all I want to do is see my daddy again.
Mm.
That was never lost at any time.
Wow.
And now I had nobody to talk to and trying to figure all of this stuff out. And
Mm-hmm.
still, it's almost like you live in two different lives.
Yeah.
Now, here's what was weird about that for me for school was I would get my ass beat if I wasn't doing well in school. The issue was I always did well in school. They had standards for me. I'm supposed to get A's and B's. Why? Witnesses don't go to college. Why am I in school doing this? And it just made no sense. I would get no explanations. We never talked about my dad anymore. My mama would just get weird. Like, so now I have a new baby brother, and this is Eddie and my mom's son.
Oh, a third child is now born.
Yes, third child. So
wow.
now Rob, who's been the baby all this time, now has to adjust to this. I've been a big brother for a long time. I could tell him how it's going to go, but now Rob and I are getting closer because I'm like, okay, yes, that's our brother, but as far as full blood siblings, it's you and me, partner.
Right. He's only halfway in.
Yeah, and I love my brother, man. He was always like we never had any arguments. My brother's still the coolest person that I know. I've never even heard him raise his voice. He's tough. So getting closer with my brother, we getting tight, and I ended up graduating. I figured I'd go to college, and just did not work out. I went to college, but I started meeting other people who had graduated.
What kind of college did you go to, and how did you convince your mom as a witness to, or did you just go do your thing?
Oh, there was no such thing as going to do my thing. My mother worked at a college, so I was getting free tuition.
So how did that work? If she didn't believe in college and the theology didn't believe in the need for college, which ours didn't either, but yet, you know, like we were put through charm classes and you're like, well, what is this for? Because I'm just going to get married and have 12 kids anyways. And so it just didn't make any sense. How did she reason that? Or did she just never talk about it?
She reasoned it because she worked at a college. What were you going to tell her about college that she didn't know?
So it was okay to work at a college and be a Jehovah's Witness, but not attend one and be a Jehovah's Witness.
And the things that they would say about college, like let me give you an example. Any college in the country, can you find drugs on that campus? Yep. You'd be a fool to pretend or think otherwise. However, I could find drugs a hell of a lot more places than college. But the way they would demonize it and talk about it is like, college is where you go to get high.
That is where the devil's army comes to sell you drugs. They're looking for young people like you.
The devil has set this up for you to be led astray.
It's so terrible to laugh, but it's so ridiculous, and I so get it that it's comical to me.
Yes, it is. So my mother, remember, my mother's been working here since I was a kid. I grew up going to a college campus. I'm aware that you could get stuff, but around the corner from my grandmother, they sell crack. How is that different? Like, it's no more pressure than any other thing. At least I didn't see it that way, and my mother didn't see it that way, or she wouldn't have been able to keep working there.
Right.
So we'd ask questions all the time, but you had to be careful how you ask questions. You couldn't say, the society's lying about college. Aren't they, Mama? Mama would probably have to turn me in for something like that. Mm-hmm. So I'd have to play it off like I was joking
or act innocent, like as if you were asking for information just to see what she was going to say.
Yes. But again, here's the trick to it. When you're talking to somebody who knows you, okay, so you basically, as a witness, you police yourself and you police those around you.
Right.
So if somebody were to ask you a question that didn't seem like a witness question, like it didn't have a positive spin on it. So if I ask a question about, where does the money go, from field service? The person may respond, why are you asking that? Mm-hmm. They won't just, give you an answer. They'll be like, why are you asking? Oh, well, something I read on the internet.
Why are you on the internet?
Yeah, what have you been reading? And you got to make sure, and blah, blah, blah. When that's a legitimate question.
Did you ever get this one? My mom used to use this one post-cult. Don't try to play with me. Like if I played that game, that game of like, oh my God, what did that mean? She would say, that was her, like, she would just look at me with this look and say, don't, and very calmly, which was her narcissistic way, say, sometimes she would say, little girl, don't try to play with me. Like, I know what the fuck you're doing. And then you were like, oh shit.
Wow, no, I didn't get that.
Yeah, I got that.
Nah, man, I got the flip side of that. Because I was such a strong reader, and I loved. Okay, remember this. I'm thinking my dad is going to come back to life, and it's going to be up to me to get him up to speed. So when I used to take pictures, that's what I was thinking of. This is a picture I'm going to show my daddy one day.
Really? You're documenting history for your father.
Yep.
Wow.
Because keep in mind, I'm supposed to see him soon.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, like, okay, let me use photography. To me, when the roll of film was like what, 27 shots, 24 or 27 shots?
I think you could do like 12 or 24. And yeah, I think those were the old school reels with the Kodaks.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I did a bunch of them, so I could take, I'm not going to take 25 pictures of my mama. It would be like, okay, here's a picture of the dog, here's a picture of me, here's a picture of school, and then pictures of the ground where I was looking for some blood.
Wow.
So, yeah, like nobody was talking to me, asking me this type of stuff. This is me telling you, this is really what was going on in my mind.
Do you still have those pictures?
No, baby, I'm a Hurricane Katrina survivor, but...
Oh, no.
Yep.
Really?
I told you, we hadn't even got to the crazy stuff.
Oh, that is devastating.
Yeah, that was kind of rough. Photographer with no pictures. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, anyway, hold on, let me take a sip. Okay, so I figure I'm going to see my dad soon, and next thing you know, I'm graduating high school, and I have had horrific times my whole life, but I just kept figuring I'll see my dad again soon, so I'm not going to get upset that my mom came to my school and beat the hell out of me at school in front of everybody. That during some points of this, my mom was zoned out when I was trying to talk to her and explain something that had happened. She just stopped listening, where she used to be my biggest advocate.
Right.
All of a sudden, I would get accused of lying, even though I'm the one person in this room who believes lying will be the reason his father won't be able to come back. So I have the least amount of reason to lie.
Right.
But no, I'm a kid.
Yeah, nobody's critically thinking anything.
Nobody. Not one person.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time, I really had about 7 instances with my mom. One time she came to my school and beat my eye so bad that she burst my eardrum. And I'm 80% deaf in my left ear because of that.
Mm.
So, excuse me. I
I'm so
never
sorry.
got over that. I really thought she was going to kill me. Like, after that, I thought that's the next place you escalate to. I'm like, okay, I started imagining she would throw me out of a window.
Well, can I ask you a quick question about this? And, always if I get too personal, please let me know. What kind of things would trigger her off to be that extreme with you? What might have happened?
Anything that she felt either embarrassed her or that made her look like she was not a good mother.
That was my mother. It was all about her. Don't make her look bad. You could fuck up and nobody know, and you might not get in so much trouble. But you do that same thing and the whole church knows?
Oh, that was your ass.
That was your ass. Yep.
You have all my condolences and sympathy. I know exactly what that is.
Same here.
Oh.
Was your mom a backhander?
Yeah.
So was mine. Have many a busted lip in my teenage years.
My mom. Okay, so if you ever seen the movie The Color Purple?
Oh yes, yes. Let me tell you. If you don't mind, I'm going to share something about that movie. Has a very special place in my heart. I get emotional about this because there was a time on the cult where these two men came from Sri Lanka. And one of them, his name was Prince, he really liked my sister. And my sister was like you. She could have run away, but there was no way she was leaving me alone. Anyways, he wanted to marry my sister, and she was terrified that they were going to take her to India and she would never see us again. And so when we finally saw The Color Purple, and that one scene where Celie and her sister are holding onto that pole, and her sister's going to Africa, and she's left there. My sister and I could never watch that scene without weeping, because that is how we felt. That was the level of fear of what would happen to us, the separation of that. So I just wanted to share that story with you of why that movie is so impactful to me in regards to the cult.
I do understand. Well, the scene I'm talking about is not nearly that emotional, but just the fact that Oprah's character is who my mama basically was. Where these were not little love taps I was getting. I used to really, besides being the weirdo in school with all these rules and stuff that I couldn't do, I was also the kid who got beat up by his mama.
Right.
So that didn't bother me because I could ignore if you were worldly, which was anybody who wasn't a witness was worldly. Mm-hmm. Worldly people, their opinions didn't matter to me. So that was
because they were beneath you.
Traits. Yeah, like y'all are gonna be soon. Like I could say, okay, one day soon I'm gonna see the birds eating you.
Right.
So that really wasn't a thing. But the reality was I was getting beat by somebody who was incredibly strong.
Yes, my mother was a big woman too, like very big boned.
Yes. Mm-hmm. My mother was seriously, seriously strong. So one of the ways I was finally vindicated up with that years and years and years later, when my mother was almost in her 60s, her and Eddie got into it. Eddie was almost 300 pounds by this point. And they got into it, like joking. He was joking, but she wasn't. And she turned around and hit him. And he fell through a wall.
What?
And when that happened, like everybody's laughing, and it's the funniest thing. And I finally came out. I said, okay, y'all. She knocked a grown-ass man through a wall in her late 50s.
How old were you then?
When she did that? Or when I was a kid?
Okay.
When she did that, I was probably in my 30s, but by this point, it's a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So by this time, I said, well, listen, I need y'all to remember, I was getting her at full blast. No escape. Mm-hmm. Full-on rage. And this is where she would have me hold the books out and walk around in a circle around me talking as if my dad was in the room, talking to my dad. Why'd you leave me here with these kids, Robert? I got to hear this shit.
That is some ritualistic abuse right there.
Okay. This is what I meant, because I couldn't tell anybody, because what would happen, they would send me back home, and that'd be an even worse asshole.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like, just take the L, take the beating, just whatever.
How much about the head did you take a lot of head blows as a kid?
No. I think the head blows all happened. No, you know what? I got slapped a hell of a lot. I don't even count those as head blows. I guess that is a head blow. Because I don't count my head and my face as the same thing.
Well, like, the cult that I was in believed in exorcism. So as a small child, anything you did was a demon. But I was nonconformist even very young, 4, 5, and 6. And so part of an exorcism would include you getting slapped so hard or on your head that your head literally hit your shoulder on the side. So, I mean, it wasn't just a slap. I mean, it might have been open palm, but it was so hard that it literally moved your whole skeletal neck system in your head to hit your shoulder and back up.
Damn. Nah, you got me. I bow down to your toughness on that. Oh shit, no. I got beat like that one time, and that's the beating where I ended up being deaf after that.
I mean, but that
But
beating could have possibly created some kind of, I mean, obviously it did because you ended up with deafness, head trauma in you.
I've
Just
said that
something.
for a long time. It's one of these where it's like I'm not even trying to be funny, but it is funny to me. I'm the oldest out of my brothers, and they are both like 6'5" and 6'6". And I say all the time, I stopped growing that day my mama beat my ass at their school because I'm still the same height today that I was then.
Really?
Yeah. Now, is that me trying to prosecute a case saying my mama damaged my... No, that's me being funny saying,
It is a fascinating thing, though.
Yeah, but that's one of them where I'm like, all right, I will take being, smart and cute over being
And
tall.
short, yeah. I mean, to me, I'm very fascinated with science and our neurological system and our DNA and what did our abuse do to change and manipulate that. So it is very curious to me that at the age that you took that is a major trauma to take a head blow that removes your hearing. On a medical level, that's a major trauma in a faith healing cult, basically. But, and then you stop growing. So it's just curious to me. I'm not an absolute speaker, if scientifically that flipped your DNA a little bit. And did that have anything to do with a stunting of your growth? I don't know. It's just an observation. That's all.
I entertain it and I love to speculate, but I'm telling you again, what was on my mind was as soon as I see my daddy, this is going to be over.
Right.
And it just got so as much as I could delve into that, I would keep on going to get to the main point of the craziness that happened. Okay, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I focused on being the best witness I could for as long as I could. And I still really had issues because now I'm getting to the point where I graduated high school when I was 16. And I immediately started college where my mother worked. And what happened was I took a world religion class and an English class. Now, I've always excelled in English, got all kinds of achievements and everything. But in this world religion class, I was a witness who thought I had the true religion and knew better than the teacher. At a Jesuit college. Led to some issues, and I had to go see basically the equivalent of a guidance counselor. I forgot what they called him at the time. But I went to go see him, and he says, I've made an appointment to speak with you and your mother. When that man said that, everything flashed. All the times that she'd ever beat my ass my whole life. Anywhere in public, at school, especially at school. And I saw the possibility of her doing that on college campus, where everybody already knew me because she's worked here forever. And now I'll be a student here with this on me. And I left.
Wow.
I never went back to Loyola. I ended up trying to transfer to another college, and my mother was furious.
What did you tell her why?
I never told her why. I let them think that I had failed something, and everybody who knew me was like, no, you didn't. I was like, yeah, I couldn't cut it College is, yes, as difficult as and they were like, dude, no, like now you're lying too. So I was just like, look, I didn't want to tell anybody. I was too embarrassed to have my mother beat my ass at college. I wasn't going to deal with it.
Oh my goodness! And you're a grown ass man.
Yep. And especially here's what I looked at. Either my mom was going to beat my ass and kill me, or I'm going to finally defend myself
and kill
get
her.
thrown in jail and told that and have everybody around me in jail be told that I beat my mama up. My pretty ass in jail. No.
Wow.
Yep.
So what did you do?
I just left and I transferred to another school. And by this time, I'm in college. I started. I met a girl who went to a different college, and started really, really liking her. She was the first like non-witness girlfriend that I ever had, and it was totally sneaking. This girl and I kissed, never had sex, never did anything beyond kissing, and she was a virgin. I'm in a cult. So it's like there's no threat of anything really going to happen. But
because you're a virgin as well, correct?
Well, I got molested when I was a kid. I figured I'd leave that part out and tell you about that right now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I can tell you that real fast. It was between my mom with Charles and Eddie.
Okay. Okay.
One time to have a good, enjoyable weekend, she sends my brother and I to my cousin's house, my actual cousins, and one of my female cousins molested me overnight, and I did not know what the hell had happened.
Oh my gosh.
I knew it was weird as shit, but I didn't know what happened, and for the first time in my life, I did not have the words to articulate what this was.
Right.
But the stuff that happened, these are the same things that the people at school talk about. This is the stuff they singing about on the radio, so I guess this was cool. So now, like, people started looking at me, like, I told a couple friends at school, and now they looking at me like, oh, you the man. Oh, yeah, you good, man. I didn't know something bad had happened, and I didn't equate it with sex until we were at the Kingdom Hall. So
I noticed that happens, Karama, for a lot of males. And I have a friend who the first time something happened to him, he was 9. And literally, his friends would, like, congratulate him and be like, yo, man, that's crazy, dog, And he's like, no, that's child rape. And it's interesting to me that mentality exists, that for a young boy, depending on how it happens, it can sometimes be like, good for you. And you're like, no, not good for me.
Well, I didn't even say no, not good for me, because I didn't know.
Right.
I really was like, this has nothing to do with my daddy coming back. So it's not my concern.
Wow, you were really shut down to everything else.
Vennie, I cannot overstate this.
Wow.
My only thought. Imagine telling an autistic kid to do something and it becomes their only focus. It is all that exists. I'm telling you, anything you said to me, the answer could be tied into, I'm waiting for my dad to come back. When is he coming back? Soon. How do I know he's coming back soon? Because this scripture in Revelation said that God is going to wipe every tear and death will be no more and blah, 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 blah. Neither will sorrow nor pain be anymore. The former things have passed away. I'm telling you this now because I learned that scripture when I was a damn kid. Because a promise was made to me. You're going to see your daddy again soon.
When did that shift?
That changed. Okay, so let's fast forward. Let's jump to now. I'm married with a child. Married to a witness, raising my child as a witness.
And you're how old at this point?
29.
Okay.
All right. My uncle, my mother's brother, has been a Muslim my whole life. Like, I don't remember him not being a Muslim. So my uncle would always talk to me the whole time my mother was a witness, telling me that those people were crazy and they were a cult. Now, when I was a kid, my uncle had just as much say in my life as my parents did. So up until 1984, I would still listen to my uncle, but I'm still holding on to seeing my daddy again. So I don't really care what my uncle's talking about.
What kind of a Muslim was he? What?
I have no clue.
You're not sure? Okay.
To this day, I couldn't even tell you. He's a cool-ass Muslim. If that's a sect, then cool-ass Muslim is...
I'm just curious, is he Farrakhan Muslim or more Sufi-type Muslim? Is he an American Farrakhan Muslim? Was just my curiosity.
Then you and I are both curious, because I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I'm not even embarrassed. This is how crazy the story is. Like, what about you? I didn't know there were different kinds of Muslims.
Right.
I'm like, you got really strict ones, and then you got my uncle. That's how that goes. So, when my uncle would always talk to me, like, I loved my uncle. I still love my uncle, but it was, yeah, uncle, I understand. Okay, they're cold. Yeah. So by the time my mom married Eddie, and we became like full on 100%, like this is your own religion. Like when I got baptized and was expected to defend it, yeah. He kept telling me it was a cult, and I now am telling him, okay, you are an agent of Satan. You trying to get me, sway me from the faith. Look, man, I want to see my daddy again. You know this is why I want to see my daddy again. This is why I'm doing this. But leave me alone when it comes to that. We can talk about anything else, but leave me alone when it comes to that. So, over the years, he never left me alone, but he would temper it. Like it might, instead of him, half the conversation being the witnesses are a cult, it might take 10 seconds. So he was always putting those bugs in my ear my whole life.
Planting seeds, yeah.
Planting those seeds. So finally, I ran into my uncle at some random location, and he just, out of the blue, says to me, hey, did you see that Dateline special about the witnesses? No. He's like, yeah, you should check it out. So I'm telling you, this is one of the very first things that I ever saw online. Like, I was still new to the internet around this time. I get online, and it's a Dateline special about these sisters, these girls, who got molested by a member of the congregation. And the parents, instead of going to the police, went to the elders.
Right.
And since the elders there was no witnesses, let's bring the brother in. So they got these two girls, sisters, like literal siblings, in the room confronting their accuser, and they asked the accuser, they asked the guy, and he denied it. And they said, do you have any other witnesses? No. Okay, well, we need to have two witnesses, or we're not going to be able to proceed. And they're like, well, what if we don't proceed? What's that mean? Nothing's going to happen to this guy. He denied it, so we have no evidence that he did anything.
Meaning 4 girls altogether needed to come forward against this one man.
Not just 4 girls. 4 girls in good standing as witnesses. If these girls weren't witnesses, it wouldn't count. If they weren't in good standing, meaning if they had gotten in trouble before or any type of thing, they just weren't the most trustworthy, baptized witnesses, it wouldn't count. My uncle says to me, did you know about this? And I'm like, no. I don't even believe this is real. Why? Because I'm trained that all of these things outside of the organization is Satan. But as I keep watching this, I'm just like, this is crazy. Now, I had heard that before about 2 witnesses. But at no time had I ever thought that it could be something used with a rape. Like, come on. Who would have 2 witnesses to a rape? Like, any witnesses, not the literal Jehovah's Witness in good standing.
Right.
Like, a cow and a dog might not even see this. Like, 2 witnesses, normally prevent a rape from happening.
Exactly.
So, okay, so I watch this. And that's what it hits me. I'm disfellowshipped. I'm kicked out of the organization. And I have a daughter in this organization.
Why were you disfellowshipped?
For an affair that I had. I had an affair and I lied about it. So that's a double thing. Since we in full disclosure, this is
Well,
just
the
me
birds are eating you.
Yeah, the birds. Yeah, and if I stay disfellowshipped and Armageddon comes, I won't see my dad again.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
And now I got to make sure my kid, who's brilliant, is doing her thing, making sure she stays there at the hall because I'll be back. So here's where the story gets crazy. It's at this moment that I decide to call my mother, hoping that she answers the phone and will speak to me even though I'm disfellowshipped. I take a chance. She answers the phone. I ask her if she saw the Dateline special. And my mama told me that the society let all the congregations know not to watch that. And it hit me. Her telling me that instantly meant if the society said not to watch it, they weren't going to watch it. It's not even up for debate. It's not even going to be a second thought about it.
Right.
Because to them, the society is the same thing as God himself saying it.
Yeah, that's just propaganda. That's just the devil using two people to attack the church, and it's propaganda, and it shouldn't infiltrate their minds.
And it was that moment for the very first time that I saw the setup.
Really?
That was the first time I saw it, Vennie. I was just like, oh my God, like they control everything. Because keep in mind, up till this point, everything in our lives we were taught this is God's arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
And if something went wrong or if somebody sinned or did something, that was that individual's sin. That was that individual's flaw. They would tell us all the time, God's organization is perfect. It's a perfect system run by imperfect people.
Yes, that's what they said to us. When my cult leader had an affair, he actually confessed. It was kind of like a Jerry Falwell moment. Remember when Jerry Falwell got up and he cried, "No God"? Okay, it was that, right? Because that's a trick. That's a mind control trick. That means, hey, I'm the prophet, I'm the cult leader, but I'm human like you. And I'm weak in the flesh, and I sin as well. And so I'm going to testify to you about it so you can feel a level camaraderie with me. It's like a purposeful moment of weakness.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. That was this, of course, he didn't get disfellowshipped like everybody else got. We didn't call it disfellowshipped. You just got banished. For everybody, that was like, wow, Brother Sam, how vulnerable he is. And I hope God heals him and let's all right? So the consequences were obviously different. But yeah, same exact mentality.
It was insane. So I realized that, but it didn't scare me as much as it should have. It just, So my wife and I split up, got back together at different times, and this was one of those times we got back together maybe it might have been maybe 6 months or so after I first saw that. So she and I had been apart by this time for a couple of years, and this is when I started doing spoken word. I've been writing poems my whole life, but actually getting up and performing them, that started after I was disfellowshipped that last time. She and I split up, and I really did not know what I was going to do. I ended up for a while being homeless. And the reason I was homeless is because I was disfellowshipped. I grew up being told not to have any friends that weren't witnesses. So then when I get disfellowshipped, I literally have no friends.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the beautiful part about this is that every school I went to, people knew me. People generally and genuinely liked me. Like, even though I was a weirdo, I wasn't a jerk.
Right.
So, oh, he's the nerd. He's the smart kid from the class. Oh, he's the one with the weird name. That's the dude that loves Star Wars. Oh, blah, 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 blah. So, I was able to bounce around and survive for a while being homeless in New Orleans.
Thanks for joining me, Vennie Kocsis, and remember, get through it, don't stay in it.